To hour number 2 of the Art Lewis Show, a continuation of hour number 1. Special guest this morning from the Saginaw River Marine Historical Society. Its president, Don Morin, is with us. And coming up on the 21st, the Society will have a special presentation by our other guest. And he is historian Rick Mixter. Historian, videographer, diver, book author. 4 books right now.
I'm working on my 5th one.
You're working on your 5th.
And don't forget Grandpa, too. That's a very important title as well.
Oh, Grandma, yeah. Okay, good, yeah. Good. Let's see. Telltale Sounds.
Tattletale
Sounds.
Howling Winds.
Bottled Goodbyes.
Yep.
The Wheelsman. Howling Winds, yep. All their books by Rick. And many, many videos and YouTube and all that stuff.
Over 30 for PBS now, which I'm just honored.
Have you done over 30 for PBS?
It's
really?
been a real treat, and every year they have me back to help raise money. And as we know, critical need to do it. Yeah, so to me, that's how I was raised in the UP, watching PBS. So for me, it's been an honor to be able to bring money right back.
Okay, we mentioned, I just want to touch on it quickly. I don't want to spend a lot of time on it, but I think it might be inspiration for others. You mentioned a medical issue you had a year ago, a little less than a year ago now.
Isn't it interesting that I cover hospital things? I was lucky to go into surgeries and watching Dr. Schenko do brain surgeries with Covenant and St. Mary's and so many. And all of a sudden, I wake up with my arm paralyzed and a horrible side cramp on my way to a lecture in Petoskey.
So this was your first symptom?
Yes.
First recognizable symptom.
Yes, because my leg had been numb for years, and of course the doctors just go, Rick, you're old, and you just deal with it. But you think about it now, and I'd get dizzy when I'd put my head down, and it turns out it was a 5-centimeter tumor in my brain, which that's why my voice is so scratchy, because right where it located, and thank heavens it was on top of my brain. So think about roughly probably a tenth of my brain was being mushed, by this big tenth of a brain tumor that they cut out, no cancer. And within 2 weeks, I was doing lectures. The problem is my left vocal cord is somewhat paralyzed yet, but the doctors have seen improvement. Even my good friend Don said it sounds better than the last time I talked to them. So it's slowly coming back. I feel great. It was tough for me to have somebody else do all the driving, and I can't dive for a while.
Dive, right?
No, until July, and I cannot wait to go. But I can fly, and it didn't slow me down. For the 50th anniversary of the loss of the Fitzgerald, I had over 40 lectures in 4 states. And so I never missed a one. The Petoskey one I have to make up because I was in the hospital from the 28th of June to, I think, the 9th of July. And the staff in Detroit couldn't have been better. I'll tell you the highlight, though. My daughter is in neurology, and she's a PA, and I get to watch her work. And to have people come into my room and say, your daughter saved my life, or the staff to say how wonderful Jamie is. I loved every second of that recovery period because I got to do that. And I tried every meal they have except meatloaf. And hopefully one day I'll go back on a better note and have their meatloaf so I can say I did all of the meals.
So I have to believe your daughter being a PA in neurology, you kept your symptoms from her.
Well, part of it
to
because
a degree.
I'll be 62 March 20th.
Youngster.
And I thought that this was just getting old, that the numbness in my leg, I couldn't drive more than 2 hours. The dizziness I was getting when I played with the grandkids, if I tipped my head back too far. The speech, when I went to record things in the studio, my tongue would trip. And this all turns out that the tumor was sitting right in the center and just aft. And so they had to take the whole top of my head off and put 6 plates in there. And the science behind it is amazing. And I'll tell you that.
I'd be afraid if it took the top of my head off.
Well,
I might not find anything.
I don't think they did. They did tell me, because I was worried I was going to lose all my shipwreck knowledge. And they said the only thing I lost was the ability to remember my anniversary or my wife's birthday.
Oh, that's oh, jeez.
So I have an excuse now, but it's fantastic that I can recover so quickly. The doctor told us, hey, this is just another Tuesday for me. So when you look at that and you realize that the confidence going in, they put me under. I knew everything was going to be taken care of. I knew my family was good, and quite honestly, you reflect a lot when you're going into that. I did when I had my heart ablation too, and I do a lot of stuff that it has risks.
I had a muscle problem in 2005, and it wakes up your thoughts of your fallibility. You're
It does.
not infallible. Guess what?
But I've been talking about this, about what your legacy is, and I have a tiny little page in a multi-million page legacy of anything. I'm fine with that, with what I've accomplished, with the information I've brought back
absolutely.
from shipwrecks and stuff. My real legacy is my kids, the 3 kids that have done way better than the old man has, and they're doing amazing things. You've had Alex on your show alone, and my other son is producing with one of the American Idol runner-ups that making a music album. So all 3 of my kids are extremely successful. They're all doing incredibly positive things. And that's what you hope for.
Well, that's your legacy. I mean, I look my 2 are the same way, and that's, you have to. You got to, Well, first of all, legacy is your life's work,
Yeah.
And, if you start worrying about it at our age, it's too late.
Absolutely.
The legacy hasn't been left.
You bet. And you hope to leave the world a little bit better when you came in. And
absolutely.
That's what we do, especially with your show. As a broadcaster, we have a responsibility to showcase, and nobody does it better than you with the community and the stuff you do. Well, you've got an incredible subject, I'll give you that, but as the host of this, to guide people through what's happening in our world and why we are in a great place to live.
And I worry, without newspapers, daily newspapers, if I wanted to know what happened in 1932 in Saginaw, I could go to the library, sit down at a microfiche machine, and look up the Saginaw News. Who's keeping that history for the future?
It's interesting. A lot of it's going to be YouTube. It's going to be people that we can go for that date and see how somebody felt. And you hope that someone's doing something positive with that.
Yeah, well, that's the thing. And,
Yeah.
And, I had some confidence that when I saw it in the newspaper, it was accurate.
You bet.
I don't have that confidence with YouTube, and I don't have that confidence with other internet media.
Oh, now more than ever, you have to double check your sources, but it should always be that way. That's the only way to make sure you're getting a straight answer, is to look at the opposition.
That's what you're taught from day one in journalism school.
Yep.
But yet, look how far away we've gotten from it.
It's just the crush of trying to do so much. I could not keep up with the journalists today at Channel 5. I just couldn't. With all the extra duties they have now and the cuts in staff, it's amazing. Even here to see less people in the building.
But yet, even if you look at something like the Fitzgerald and how many dives there's been on it and all of that, and how much misinformation there's been surrounding that sinking.
It's even with a brand new book, they're still talking about the shoal that it ran across, and the shoal does not exist. This has been decades that we've been talking about how this shoal is not there, and people still are writing a chapter about it. Yep.
Yeah. All right, we'll take a break and come back. If you have any questions for Rick Mixter or Don about the Great Lakes and some of these shipwrecks, you can give us a call, 989-752-6111.
The next generation of
All right, we're back with you in studio. Rick Mixter, Dan Morin, from the Saginaw River Marine Historical Society, where Rick will do a presentation on the 21st. The Valley Girls, the shipwrecks of the Saginaw shipbuilding industry. And we've got some callers. Let's talk to Carolyn Sheridan. You are on with Rick and Don. Good morning.
Good morning, fellas, and thank you for donating your time and energy. I'm sure you've donated a lot of time and energy to preserving some of Michigan's history, which is wonderful for me, and for Art having you on to have a show I can enjoy. But are there any boats being built in Michigan anymore? Do you know?
Yeah, smaller boats. In fact, we just had a new ferry boat that was built up in Sheboygan area, and we see a couple, but most of the shipbuilding has gone over to Wisconsin. We see Marinette turning out ships that are actually involved in this current war, the literal ships. Came out of our area.
Sail them through the locks and all that.
Yeah, they bring them for us. They'll come right out of Marinette, Wisconsin, and Menominee, and they'll come all the way around and go through the Welland Canal and leave out. They used to have to go through the Mississippi. That's where a lot of the Bay City ships, cut the boats, the masts, everything off, and get them down through the canal
I think
system.
one time we went by Ontonagon, and when they
Oh.
built a pretty good-sized boat at Ontonagon one time.
They did for the longest time, and what a great legacy that area is too, with the copper and everything. I love my UP. I was born and raised in Marquette, and it's a beautiful area.
Well, we sit at the Two Heart and look out over Lake Superior and think how nice she can be or how wild she can be, and all the people and the adventures that was on Superior. And I tell the kids, don't mess with Superior. They'll go down there with kayaks, and I say,
Oh, there were 4 different life-saving stations, including one right at Two Hearted. So you were right there, and you know how dangerous that lake can be. That's why they call her the graveyard of the Great Lakes.
Oh, yeah. Well, that's long gone. Well, I do have a hinge from there. I found a hinge that I'm sure was part of the...
Probably from the lifesavers. There wasn't much there.
Start your own museum.
Yeah.
Oh, well, I do, and I should clean it out. They keep telling me.
I could use it. People say I'm unhinged.
All right.
But just thank you for donating your time and energy to things that we really need to care about.
It is truly my pleasure. Thank you.
Thanks, Carol.
Okay, thank you much.
Bye-bye
Bye-bye.
now. And in Bay City, we find Terry this morning. Terry, good morning.
Good morning. My question is about in the Saginaw River there by the community center in Bay City. There's 2 boats that I guess were burned up because they were no longer useful, and they burned them while in the river. But now they're exposed. Are there other boats in the Saginaw River like that?
There's over 5 that are in that general vicinity. In fact, some of the largest of the wooden boats ever built. Grampian, several of the Shenandoah, Sacramento was in the slip there. We see the rudder that's there, and Don was just telling me, Don, that the rudder's in bad shape right now.
Yes, it's going to be restored here over the course of the next year or so.
Really?
And Saginaw River Marine Historical has been pulled in as part of the advisory committee on how that's going to proceed. And if you go out to the that came off the Sacramento, which was over 330 feet long, that the remains of it are out there just off the seawall. And there's 4 or 5 other vessels there.
They're in that right channel, aren't they?
Yes.
They are, yeah. And they
right
were
up against
West
the shore.
Channel.
And they were burned by arson, sadly. These were wrecks that were sitting there. They were never rebuilt as soon as Davidson went out of business. And sadly, arsons took their toll on that. And that's why, they're still there. So,
You still see the ribs every now and then.
Design. I thought it was by design that they did that.
no, tragically, most of the early footage we saw of, especially the little boat races there, they were still in pretty good shape. But then arsons burned them to the water line. Of course, they're not going to burn below the water. And that's what we have left now, which is great. Grenada being the biggest one that's kind of out towards the channel there. It's our own little mini museum.
Which is why we don't always see it. When the water level's high,
You're
we
right.
don't see the ribs. When the water goes down, we see the ribs.
Absolutely.
I have a little bit of history with the Great Lakes. Both my father and my uncle, about 10 years before, while they were in college, before it went down, sailed on the Bradley.
Oh, wow.
And so they didn't go down with it, but they had sailed on it, both out of Roger City.
Oh, the
So-
stories. Len Gabriziak told me that the rivets would blow out in the storm. And they go ping, ping, ping during the gale. And that ship, we were the first ones to relocate it and dove it in 95 in a submarine. So the first human beings to go down there, but the visibility was so bad. But now the quagga mussels have completely coated the wreck, and divers go down there regularly. It's 360 feet deep.
Wow. So they said they kept it. It was kept together with rust.
I believe it. That ship was ready to come back and get. The captain himself said that it was time to get it in the shipyard to get it fixed, and he pushed the storm. And sadly, Captain Bryant put it on the bottom. Unfortunately, they should have just waited out the storm after they unloaded in Gary. Now she's the largest shipwreck in Lake Michigan.
There. Hello. Whoop, Terry. I think he disappeared.
Oh, good talking to you, though.
Good talking to you, Terry. Thank you. If you have any comments for Rick or Don, 989-752-6111. How long is your presentation at the
We typically do an hour, and then I stay after for at least another hour. It's nice being right in the mall because there's so much extra area to go walk around. The museum, it's neat to be right at the museum because people can see all the incredible artifacts that they have right there. And then to have the experts like Don Moran and all of the crew there know about wrecks.
Don, how many people can you accommodate?
We can accommodate over 100. We have overflow in the corridor, and we have another large TV monitor out there for any overflow.
I think Terry, are you back with us?
Yeah, I got cut off for some.
Oh,
Yeah,
I'm sorry,
it
buddy.
disappeared on us.
I just had one more quick question.
Please.
It seems every few years somebody says how they found the Griffin. Has the Griffin been found?
No, it hasn't. The current underwater archaeologist, Wayne Lasardi, who works up at Thunder Bay by Alpena, has gone on 20 different wrecks that people have said have been the Griffin. And the Griffin has not been discovered. We'll know as soon as they come up with a cannon. The cannon we know is on board because LaSalle, when he later sailed back from France to try to find his route back to the Mississippi, got lost and lost a ship called La Belle. And they had several cannons and all kinds of materials. Over 2 million artifacts were on board that ship. So we not only know what the wreck will look like, but we know what artifacts to expect. And the cannon will probably say King Louis XIV on it, as many of them were imprinted. So don't believe anything from a nail or a board or a mast or anything they say. When we find those cannons, and I think we will, with the way we're finding shipwrecks now, and with the state and the federal government out there mapping as well, you're going to be surprised at how many more discoveries will be made.
Well, speaking of government, has the whole NOAA thing around Thunder Bay, has that been a good thing?
I think so. I mean, you can argue it's $6 million. I'm not sure what their current budget is, and they don't get a lot of people through. They'd say 100,000. I would probably argue that, but to walk in there and see a sinking schooner, it's one of the greatest maritime museums anywhere in the world, I would say. But just the location has been very difficult for them. But their outreach for kids, learning how to use robots, there's been amazing things, and the staff there is amazing to work with, and they keep the buoy system up on a very popular dive area as well. So I would say yes, but as a guy who likes to save some tax dollars, you got to kind of put it in perspective. And we've got 2 new underwater preserves, one in Lake Michigan for Wisconsin and a brand new in Ontario. And I don't know what the future is on those, or if I can argue that those millions would be well spent. We've got incredible museums to take care of this, and people can even do it privately in many cases. So I don't know. There's an argument both ways, but I'll tell you, I certainly enjoy the museum up at Alpena.
All right.
Yeah.
Very good.
All right.
Terry,
Thank
thanks. Take care.
You bet.
Bye-bye now. Carol is in Hemlock. Carol, good morning.
Yes, good morning. I'm old enough to remember when the 3rd Street Bridge was still standing.
Oh, yeah.
And Defoe Shipbuilding was right there. You
Yeah.
could see when you went over the bridge. And I remember watching them build some of those ships. And I remember one time they had it built and they were putting it in the river. And that was quite an experience.
It was a big deal. The town bands would come out. Central High School would bring their bands out, Don. I mean, it was a big deal for not only the workers, but the whole town.
Yeah, you get out of school to go watch a ship launching.
And also, wasn't there a Les Statiker in Calcallan that
Yes.
built
Yeah.
ships?
No,
I was
he
raised in
Hydroplanes.
Calcallan.
built hydroplanes. My father
Hydroplanes,
worked
right.
there building
Racing
the
boats.
race boats. They built somewhere in the vicinity of
boats.
55 unlimited hydroplanes in that little 4-man shop.
Yeah, I was raised in Calcallan.
Oh,
What was your
So
maiden
I
name?
remember. Confer.
Oh,
My dad owned Confer's Garage.
yes.
Right next to the Calcallan Stone Sale.
Yeah.
history
Yes.
right there.
There you go.
Oh,
Very
Yeah.
good.
So,
Yes.
like I said, I'm old. Like I said, the 3rd Street Bridge.
Yep.
Every time you'd go to St. Lawrence Brothers, which was right there at the end of the bridge,
Right.
there was the big ships being built.
Yep.
It was
Very
quite
good.
an experience.
Excellent.
So,
Carol,
okay,
thanks.
Thank you, Carol.
Appreciate it.
you're welcome.
we have a couple exhibit cabinets with regard to the race boat history in our museum because the last all-mahogany race boat, the Miss Pepsi, is in the Dawson Museum of the Great Lakes on Belle Isle. And it's in its own glass building that you can see from outside. So the history from there, they even built 3 jet boats. The last one would have unofficially, it did unofficially break the world record at 280 miles an hour before the rudder broke off up at Hubbard Lake. And
That's good. No
boss
rudder at 280. That's good. That'd be a nice ride.
the boss had to bail out at about 200 mile an hour and lived
Jeez.
He only had one limb that wasn't broke, but he ended up in a cattail marsh.
Wow.
Oh, wow. All right, we're going to take a break, and we'll be back with our guests, and lines are open if you have any questions or comments for them.
Hi, I'm Ray at Big Dip.
Back with you in studio with me, Rick Mixter, marine historian of some note and lecturer, author, and videographer and diver. Also with us from the Saginaw River Marine Historical Society, its president, Don Morin. So, Rick, let's talk about some of the things you're going to talk about in this presentation, the Valley Girls, if you will. What's most notable in this?
You know, for me, it's about the full picture of everything that came off of the river system, and to show people just really the mecca that this was for shipbuilding. A lot of people forget about this until the water levels do go down, and you see, you know, these monoliths, these giant monuments, if you will, of the shipbuilding. I love the stories that come from Defoe because we have a better record. As a television guy, I look for any kind of visuals that I can find, and because Defoe was so prolific with film footage, I have incredible archives from World War II of the rollover method that they did. And the rich I did.
How did they launch? Did they back out or did they slide them off?
They slid them off, the majority of them.
A big splash.
Yep. And in the cases we talked about, the Naugatuck and the Raritan, they went off in tandem, which is very rare on the Great Lakes. But we'll show what they did. We'll talk about the Escanaba. I think that the story from World War II, where this vessel goes from being one of the biggest rescue vessels, bringing the crew of the Dorchester home after 800 guys went in the water. Think of this tiny cutter from Bay City picking up 80 guys and another 30 that came on, I believe, the Comanche. And we'll talk to people that were rescued. This has been my quest for my last 35 years, is to go around and record these people, and they're all gone now. So the survivor from the Dorchester, the survivor when the Escanaba actually blew up in 1943, they don't know why. It just exploded. It either hit a mine, or according to the survivor that I talked to, O'Malley, he said...
Wait. Hit a mine where?
All the way up in the North Atlantic.
Okay.
This is where they were. Yeah, you know, the big quest
Not
right
like Great
now.
Lakes.
No, well, it brings us to local history now with the president wanting to get Greenland. Greenland was crucial during World War II for cryolite, for our manufacturing of aluminum, and it also for air bases. We built several buoy bases around Greenland. We helped keep the Nazis out of there before we were even in the war. So the United States has always had an interest in this area. And for my story, it comes down to the troops that were being shuttled back and forth, and the U-boats had easy pickings. And they would literally go on the radio. We had our own version of Tokyo Rose that would broadcast to the troops to say, we know where you're at. We know where the Dorchester is. And then they torpedoed and killed over 600 guys going to these bases. And then when the Escanaba blew up, 100 people drowned, and only 3 guys made it to the floating protector. It was actually a strongback that would keep the lifeboat from crashing into the side of the Escanaba. They froze to that, And then when the Naugatuck, another Bay City-built ship, brought them out of the water, the story is just amazing. And so to hear from the survivors, to hear the story and see the launch of the Escanaba, which is rare from the 1930s, to see that, I'll bring all that stuff back. It's our local history. It's history that's largely been forgotten. And then you tie that into the modern stuff with the survival of Dennis Hale, the sole survivor who made it through 1966. They never got a mayday out. The ship ripped in two. The stern kept sailing for 5 miles. The bow goes down, and this guy makes it to a life raft. And for 2 nights, no one was looking for them. And he survives in a life jacket and a pea coat in his underwear. And all he does is loses his toes, and poor Dennis, I mean, the guy just had a horrendous life from the day he was born. He lost his mom in childbirth all the way through to the shipwreck, and then became one of the biggest lecturers on the Great Lakes with a story that no one will be able to match. So I'll talk about Dennis, too, and some of I helped produce his book. I published his Soul Survivor book. So we'll bring some that to the audiences as well, and I think it'll be a great hour. And then just to be around my friends, they know I love coming to Bay City. The Saginaw River has been a group that has always been so supportive of what I do. And that comes back to research.
Around here. I mean,
it is, but to open your archives and to do that, as so many people have done, it's amazing to be able to give back in my small way.
You'll be able to come and ring an actual bell from a shipwreck off the tip of the thumb and see the oldest surviving boat built in Bay City that's above water, where Rick's going to talk about.
I'm going to ask you about that.
The underwater.
Oh, yeah.
What is that?
We have a 18-foot motor launch built by Defoe in 1913. This
was a private boat as opposed to a commercial boat.
Yes, it was something you would take to go out and fish or go on a picnic with a little single-cylinder engine in it. We acquired it and had it restored, and it's our prized possession in our museum, and it'll be there for everybody to see and admire and understand the history and ring the ship's bell.
Yeah, I was also part of bringing the Amacita back from, was it South Carolina? Where did we come from?
Yeah, North Carolina.
North Carolina. That's another great treasure that they have.
The Amacita is the second oldest surviving boat built in Bay City in 1915. It was shipped as a kit from Defoe's, assembled behind the French embassy.
That's right, they built kits. I forgot about that.
Yes. And then the launch into the Potomac, the next generation took it to Woods Hole, Massachusetts. We have the home movies that the family, they were affluent enough, they had a wind-up movie camera. Third generation, after 99 years in the same family, had it in North Carolina and repatriated it back to Bay City. And it's on exhibit at the Toy and Fire Truck Museum out on Patterson during the summer months. And it's 30 feet long and takes a 12-foot high door to get it in on a 4-axle trailer. So
all right.
We've got the stuff to see.
Got to take a break, and we'll come back. One more segment with our guests after these notes.
We're proud to make
She was the daughter.
Back with you in one final segment, I should say, with Rick Mixter and Don Morin from the Saginaw River Marine Historical Society. Rick, of all the boats you've dove on, is there any one you really want to go back to?
The Fitzgerald. I mean, if you think about...
Really? Still, for all the times.
Yeah, I mean, I had, at that time, knew the song, and I'd been through the Coast Guard report, and in 94, I knew very little. But think about all the interviews I've done with the guys that built it, the guys that sailed it, at least 3 third mates, all the talk about the hatches, all that stuff has been skipped over by every expedition. There's been 6 people, 6 different groups that have gone down. They just go down and take pictures of the bow, and then they run over to the stern and take pictures of the propeller. And there's not been a really forensic look. And I think that if we looked at the hatch covers, where they went, where their hatch crane is, and all of this knowledge that I've gathered over 30 years, even a better side scan to find out where the taconite spilled, I think we'll get a good idea of what happened.
So I'm just curious, why hasn't one of the governments done that? just to get answers.
It cost millions for a government to do it.
Yeah, that's why I say, why didn't the government do it? Because private enterprise can't do it.
No, and it'll never bring back the 29 guys. It'll never lead to any legislation. That was the big question by many people, was what can we do to improve it?
Right.
The Fitzgerald didn't do much to do that, sadly.
Let's talk to Cam in Freeland, be our last caller. Cam, good morning.
Hey, good morning, guys. Fascinating subject, and I've hung on every word as much as I could. 2 questions. What's the most unusual thinking that you can think of, most out of the normal circumstance? And